I felt like for a second, maybe we shouldn't go in here.
It's more than a museum. That's for me where it turns into a fully immersive experience.
Yeah, the amount of artefacts they have in there, we have mentioned before, but it is mind-boggling.
You wouldn't even think that you could acquire these pieces.
They've meticulously planned each and every room, down to the last lick of paint.
And there ain't a part of that museum that hasn't been thought about.
This is probably one of my favourite museum tours I've ever been on.
There's nothing like this in the UK.
Hello and welcome to another video. My name's Axel.
I'm Sean.
And as you can see, we are here outside of the Museum of Horrors. We've got a double whammy for you. This week is going to be the Museum of Horrors standard tour, and next week we are coming back for the Museum of Horrors live actor experience. It's going to be our first live actor experience here at the Museum of Horrors, and we've opted for the first ever extreme scare. It's on a Saturday, it's at 11:15 at night, and I cannot wait. But first of all, I want to get inside and see what this museum's all about.
Yeah, we've just got the standard tour tonight, so we're just going to go in, have a look round, see what attractions they have really, and then give you our opinion. We're not allowed to film inside, I don't think.
No, we're not allowed to.
No, but as you can see, you contact them through Facebook, online. That is the only way to book your tickets. So
Fantastic. So let's get inside and be immersed in the world of horror.
The Museum of Horrors was opened in 2023 by 3 horror fans in Stoke-On-Trent. The museum is host to hundreds of artefacts from the world of movies, TV and the macabre, all together under one roof, with many items on public display for the first time. From world famous movie franchises to niche cult classics, and even true crime artefacts from the world's worst criminals. The Museum of Horrors is filled with nightmare fuel from the past 60 years, and it doesn't stop there. The fully immersive set designs plunge you into the world of horror as you're guided around, with smell pods, atmospheric lighting, ambient sounds, interactive elements, and more. They offer 2 experiences, from the more intense scare actor experience to a daily guided tour of the museum and its collection on display. The Museum of Horrors is open all year round and is sure to be at the top of the list for any horror and true crime fan.
So tonight we have been to the Museum of Horrors in Stoke-On-Trent. We went for their standard daily guided tour. It's £12.50 per person, and the whole event lasted us around an hour and 45 minutes. Once we'd been around the shop and everything, we was in there for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So really good value for money.
So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to just have a quick look through their website and tell you what it says on their website about the rooms that you're going to see.
So of course I'm going to read from the website, and what I will do is put the website on the screen. Now it does give you actually a pretty good insight into what is in each room and how they are themed, but it does not tell you what exactly is in the room, because that's to be kept for a surprise. So of course, as you first enter into the Museum of Horrors, the introductory reception space, the dwelling, is your first glimpse into what to expect on your journey into the venture into the museum. And that is a fantastic space that really does set the scene for what is to come inside the Museum of Horrors. As you can see on the website, their first room is the check-in. It takes inspirations from movies such as The Shining, Bates Motel and Vacancy. The check-in space is a very plush and unique starting point where you will get to know your tour guides better, who are also the founders and owners of the Museum of Horrors, Gemma and Craig. We'll give our opinions and more about them a little bit later on.
So the next one is Let the Games Begin. With certain items to whet your appetite, the dungeon is a creepy space filled with macabre treasures that will consistently update and be added over time.
The next space in the Museum of Horrors is the True Crime Room. With artefacts from some of the world's most notorious crime scene cases, this room isn't for the faint of heart. Here, guests will become criminal investigators and will get hands-on with real true crime evidence. Now, killers such as Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Gein, John Wayne Gacy, and Dennis Nielsen all reside at the Museum of Horrors. And not just items they have used or worn, but pieces of the killers themselves also reside within the museum walls.
Apocalyptic escape experience. With numerous props and costumes from zombie and apocalypse movies, guests have a race to solve the puzzle in this unique live escape experience in a themed space surrounded by pieces of horror movie history. Do you have what it takes to survive? It's time to play a game. Wonder what that could be referencing?
Can anybody guess? The next room on the tour is Save Your Soul. Inspired by real-life cases and silver screen interpretations, step forth into the exorcism-themed room, where you'll get up close and personal with some unique artefacts and learn about real exorcism cases. And the final room is the showroom, which is exclusively open on daily guided tours. The showroom is where the majority of the prop and costume collection resides, with over 100 artefacts from the world of TV and film to explore. Now, of course, on that description on the website, it does say that they've highlighted the rooms only and have excluded corridors and extras throughout the museum to keep some of the mystery alive. What's going to be in there? How is this going to be displayed? The whole Museum of Horrors has been put together by Gemma and Craig, along with their friend Sean, to each and every detail, down to the theming in the rooms, the props and the costumes is their own collection, and it all is themed so well, so immersively, and of course we're going to get into a bit more of those details right now. Now, what I will say is the experience, once again, is £12.50 per person, and you may be in groups of up to 6 people. So if you do book it as a 2, you may be in there with 4 other people. And I do think £12.50 per person is a fantastic price for what you're actually getting. 1 hour and 45 minutes into the world of horror. There's so many niche props in there, there's so many niche costumes in there, of course, along with the well-known franchises as well. We was in there with 2 other people, so it just so happened to be a group of 4 on the 7 p.m. slot on a Wednesday.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it will always be an hour and 45 minutes. I think because we got the 7 o'clock slot and they didn't have anyone booked after, they were able to really take our time. So maybe you might get an hour, maybe you could get longer, maybe you could get less. But even so, you get so much information given to you, and they really take care to tell you how they acquired certain props, what was built, what was acquired, how it was acquired. Sometimes like the bidding wars that they had to go through, and that is sometimes just as interesting as the props themselves, because you know, it's really funny stories that they tell, and it's just really personable and relatable. And I found that one of the things that I found most enjoyable about that was the way they were guiding around, and you could see it was a real passion project for them, and it made you more engrossed in these objects by how enthusiastic they were about them.
Yeah, and the thing is, they do encourage you to ask questions, they encourage you to take part in things, and there's so many interactive elements throughout the museum as well, which you are encouraged to take part in, and they have so much knowledge within the items that they've actually got within the museum, that it's great, because when you are asking questions, they're not afraid to answer it and have a laugh at the same time as well. Like the host, Gemma, took us around the museum.
I thought she was brilliant. She had a really bubbly personality. She was, you know, giving us a lot of banter. She was really up for a laugh. She really knew her stuff about serial killers, about horror props, about about everything in the museum, really, which you should. But we've been to a fair few museums, and I have to say this is probably one of my favourite museum tours I've ever been on, because they would just literally go around every single artefact and give you so many details and so much backstory to it. Not only about the objects, but about how they acquired it and so on and so forth. And it was just fascinating to hear everything that had gone into acquiring these objects, where these objects are from, what history these objects had, you know, what set they were from, whether they were hero or a stomp prop, which we learned from them, by the way. We'd never heard of that phrase before.
Yeah,
hero.
the difference between a hero
Yeah.
prop and a stunt prop.
Yeah.
Like, and they had actual differences there to show you as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, and some items you do get to feel as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's a really unique experience and does teach you things about the movie industry and specifically the horror movie industry as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And a lot of the props are their own personal, well, it is their personal collection on display, and this is where their knowledge comes from as well, because you know it's things that they're actively interested in, and that's why it's so great as a museum, because normal museums you're just walking around and you're reading plaques on a wall, whereas at the Museum of Horrors you have the host there telling you about their collection, telling you what movies it's from, and you know, making you more engrossed within this world.
It's like if I went to a museum about dinosaurs and the guy who dug that dinosaur up was there telling me about it, right? That's what it's like, okay?
And of course, as it is their own personal collection, it's always going to grow. They're always going to be adding to it, and they're always looking for things to put into the museum. So of course, we've been once, but it'll be exciting to go again because they're always adding to their collection. So I want to go back to see what other things they're going to add into their collection, whether it's from a big movie franchise, whether it's from a smaller horror collection, or whether it's just from one of their own personal favourites.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they add to it.
When we were going in, the door was locked. We were like, there's no one here. Like, we thought there was no one there. We were like, they forgot about us. And it got to like 5 to 7, and they said to get there no sooner than 5 minutes before. So it got to 5 to 7, and we knocked on and we didn't hear anything. We tried the door, and then like we just heard like a key turning, and it was like a horror. It was like a horror film. I felt like for a second maybe we shouldn't go in here.
And the thing is, you can only book it through Facebook,
Yeah.
but they have a new website in development now where you will be able to book it through the website itself. So of course it makes sense. I mean, you turn up for your scheduled time slot, you knock on the door, and he opens the door. Welcome to the Museum of Horrors. You know, it sets the scene right there.
I was like, nah, mate, I might not.
So as you've seen from the beginning of the video, we gave a detailed description of what they've got on their website, and it does kind of give some information away into what the rooms are specifically themed to. So you've got the exorcism room, you've got a true crime room, you've got a zombie themed room, and a hotel room, just to name a few. And all of these rooms have been designed and created by all of the 3 people that work there, Gemma, Craig and Sean. And the attention to detail within these rooms, you know, you'd think there was more than 3 people just working on this. And they did say that they were working on it right up until the opening day, but you can tell the amount of precision that they've put into each room, the amount of thought that they've put into each room, and it's more than a museum because of these rooms. That's for me where it turns into a fully immersive experience. Now, I'm not going to tell you what happens in between each room, because obviously that's left to keep some mystery alive. But what I will say is, for me, it was some of the best parts. It's some of the parts that I enjoyed the most, the parts in between each room. Because I'll tell you now, it is fully immersive, and there ain't a part of that museum that hasn't been thought about. It has all been designed to perfection.
Yeah, definitely. So let's just go quickly. What was your favourite room? And don't say too much about it, but what was your favourite room in the whole? I feel like mine was the exorcism room.
Yeah, the exorcism room was great. They've got some really freaky stuff in there. And obviously, as we did tell you earlier, you do learn about some real life exorcisms again from the host's knowledge. Because the hosts themselves are paranormal investigators and have been for many years. So they're into that stuff anyway.
I think she said Craig had some sort of like degree in like
Demonology.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Fascinating.
really that's fascinating as well. I'd love to hear more from him about that. But getting slightly off track, my favourite was the exorcism room. I just thought it was really well themed. There was some really interesting props in there that I'm not going to go into detail about because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone. The smell pods were fantastic or
Yeah,
disgusting.
it's another thing that adds to it. It's an experience.
Yeah.
Smell pods,
Smell pods.
lighting,
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah, the smell pods were fantastic or disgusting, depending on how you want to look at it, but both are true. Even the fact that we went on quite a cold day, and I said this to Axel when we were in the car, and I'm like, I'm not sure if it was intentionally cold, but the fact that it was really cold in certain rooms made it feel made it feel really, really spooky. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, there was just so much done and so much thought gone into that room, and there was just some really cool stories and specifically things that I love because I love exorcism films. I'm really big on like exorcisms and stuff like that, and I just had that was definitely my favourite room. What about you?
I'd agree with you. I think the exorcism room, but one other one that I also enjoyed massively was the true crime room. I really loved the true crime
that was really,
room.
really
and
interesting.
some of the pieces that they've got in there are so unique. You wouldn't even think that you could acquire these pieces at all.
Yeah.
It blows your mind. It really does what they've got in there. One that I'd like to mention as well is the hotel room. Doesn't sound like much, but when you're in there, you're going to see some really unique things that you don't expect.
The minute you step in, it's themed. There's the waiting room is themed. Everything is themed so well. It's so atmospheric. It's so immersive, and you can tell that they've meticulously planned each and every room down to the last lick of paint to make you feel like the immersion and the full experience of horror.
That opening room, the dwelling, which is basically their reception room. It's got a well in the middle, as you can see from the photos on the screen that they've put on their website. Craig, one of the owners of the place, was telling us about how they built the room and the ideas that went into it. And it was so plain before, like it was an actual just gutted out building, and they've transformed it into this immersive place, and it is fully immersive from the moment that you actually step into that room. They've got sound effects in there, they've got atmospheric lighting in there, and the set itself, you wouldn't feel like you're just walking into a museum.
The amount of artefacts they have in there, we have mentioned before, but it is mind-boggling. The way they've got their hands on some of that stuff is like, you know, so difficult to get your hands on, and they have got it. And they have got artefacts ranging back over half a century. So some stuff goes back to the 60s, which is actually 60 years ago now, isn't it? That is bizarre. Oh my God.
Of course, they've got screen used props, they've got set dressings, they've got costumes, a massive variety of different things, whether it's from your favourite franchise or whether it's from a film that you've not heard of before, that they then happen to suggest for you to watch. You know, it's endless in there. And in these themed rooms, they've got some props and costumes incorporated into the themed rooms, along with their showroom at the end of the experience, where of course the majority of the props and things that they've got are in. And that room is only open during the daily guided tours.
Do you know what?
Not the live actor experience.
Yeah, do you know what? I actually think that was probably my second favourite room. I know it sounds bizarre, but like there was so much stuff in there that was so cool and so niche and so like difficult to get hold of that I was just like in awe of the fact that they actually had it. And another thing as well, when you come away from that, you will have like, because I know a lot of horror films and Axel knows a lot of horror films, we both know a lot of horror films separately and together, but when you're there, there's horror films that like we've never even heard of, and the hostess was quite shocked with us that we hadn't heard about one of her favourite films apparently. But genuinely, like, they are now on my watch list. So when you leave that place, not only will you have a deeper appreciation for the horror industry and the horror films that you all know and love, but you'll come away with some new films or TV series that you haven't seen. You think, actually, I might give that a watch because that prop was pretty cool, or that piece of information was really interesting, and I really want to see it now.
And it's good, not only do you come away with suggestions of things to watch, but you come away with some more inside knowledge of these films, like behind the scenes knowledge, how things are made, how things get acquired. And of course, the owners have met some actors from films, met some people from behind the scenes, and of course they've got those stories to share with you. And some of the actors that they have met or know, they've actually got pieces from the films that they was in as well. So, you know, it all goes hand in hand with the knowledge that they've got.
So there are photo opportunities throughout the experience. They take the photos for you because you're not allowed to take photos in there, because like we keep saying, and we are trying to be respectful of this, but they're trying to keep things a surprise. But we will put our photos of us up on this vlog for you to see. There's, I think, 3 or 4 photo opportunities for you, and they're all pretty decent photo opportunities, to be fair. Like they were pretty funny photos that we got, don't you think?
Yeah, I love it. And again, because the host makes you feel so comfortable, they're actually encouraging you to take these photos and have these memories of it, along with the horrors that will haunt you. You have photos to take away from this experience. And another thing adding on to that, they've not just got photo opportunities, there's also experiences in there. There's games that you play, and as it does state on the website, there's almost an escape room as part of the museum, which is something that I didn't expect whatsoever. But you know, it's great, especially if you're with a group of people that you don't know. We went as a 2, there was other people that went as a 2, and it's something that gels you together as part of the group I found, and it's something I didn't expect, but really enjoyed.
Yeah, it was really interesting.
So of course, as we did say earlier, the museum is always going to have new things added to it. It's always going to be evolving, it's always going to be changing. It is their passion project and their personal collection. We did pass a door when we was in there, and Sean said, "What's that door with the question mark on it?" And Gemma did kindly let us know that that's soon to come. So again, there's even whole rooms that we haven't seen yet that we'll need to go back to experience. But of course, my overall experience of the daily guided tour was fantastic. I couldn't recommend it enough. You can tell the passion that they put into it is real, and it's something that they love to do. And there's nothing like this in the UK, in my opinion.
I've not been.
There's nothing like it in the UK. As we've said, you're going to get everything that we've explained and more. There's things that we don't want to say, there's things that we are not allowed to say, and there's things that we have forgot because there is so much in there.
Yeah, it's so... like I said, we were in there for an hour and 45 minutes. The only thing I can really say about that is, if you are within 150 miles of it, make the effort to go and see it, and make the effort to go to the scare events they have coming up, because honestly, if the tours are anything to go by, those scare events are going to be absolutely terrifying. Alright?
So as we did say at the beginning of this video, we are going to their live actor experience this Saturday, and we've booked onto their first ever slot of the first ever extreme scare maze. We've not done their standard scare experience before. We're just going to go straight for the extreme one and see how far they can push us. So stay tuned for that. That'll be in the next video on the channel. But of course, make sure that you do get yourself down to the Museum of Horrors for their daily guided tour, because it is going to blow your mind. It really is. If you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more of our content, press that subscribe button. And of course, my name's Axel.
I'm Sean, and if you don't see us again, then clearly the extreme tour is more extreme than we bargained.
So hopefully, we'll see you in another video.